You're working hard, saving what you can, but your money still stuck, going nowhere, because nobody ever showed you the difference between saving money and actually growing it. Saving keeps you safe, yeah, but with no plan, you just spinning your wheels. Through Jake's story, who was someone stuck in the same loop as you? I'm breaking down 7 simple secrets to turn your everyday savings into real assets. Tap in, take notes, and if you actually run this play, you won't be broke for long. Before we start, hit the comments and tell me about you, where you're from, and what you do. Jake Miller was the kind of guy who never put himself first. At 25, he was living in a small apartment in a working-class neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of block where everybody knows everybody, where the corner store still runs on trust, and where doing pretty good just meant your lights weren't getting cut off. He worked at a Kroger, had been there 5 years, started as a bagger at 20, and worked his way up to shift supervisor. His manager respected him. His coworkers liked him. He was dependable, quiet, and relentlessly hardworking. But when the store closed at night and Jake drove home in his beat-up 2009 Civic, he felt it. That hollow feeling in his chest, like he was running on a treadmill, fast as he could, and going absolutely nowhere. See, Jake didn't just work for himself. He worked for his family. His mom, Linda, had raised him and his little sister, Maya, on her own after their dad left. Linda worked 2 jobs through Jake's teenage years, a diner in the mornings, a cleaning service on weekends, and she never once complained. She just showed up. So when Jake got his first real paycheck, he didn't think twice. He covered Mom's electric bill, bought Maya a new fee for school, made sure the fridge was full. He loved them fiercely. And that love cost money, sometimes more money than he had. So yeah, he took out loans sometimes. A personal loan here, a credit card advance there. Nothing crazy, just enough to get through the month. Just enough to make sure his family didn't feel the weight he was carrying. And deep down, he didn't mind. That was just love, man. That's what you do. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about living that way. It keeps you stuck, not because your heart is wrong, because the system is wrong. And Jake didn't have anyone to show him a different way. He had dreams, though. Oh, he had dreams. On the wall above his dresser, he had a single poster. A midnight blue Dodge Charger. Clean rims, tinted windows. He didn't know why he kept it up there. Maybe just to remind himself that wanting something better wasn't shameful. And there was Emma Rodriguez from the produce department. She had this laugh that could light up the whole frozen foods aisle. And Jake had been quietly, desperately in love with her for 2 years. He never had the nerve to fully go for it. Mostly because every time he wanted to take her somewhere nice, he'd check his account and, yeah, he'd sent her flowers on her birthday, bought her favorite caramel lattes whenever she had a rough shift, dipped into his savings once to surprise her with concert tickets she'd mentioned offhand. He was generous. He was real. He was broke. And he was exhausted. Work, save, wait, pay bills, repeat. There had to be a different way. The shift that changed everything started on a regular Tuesday. Jake was restocking shelves in aisle 9, canned goods, middle of the afternoon, when he noticed a man he'd never seen before. Late 50s, maybe. Dressed casual but clean. Not flashy. But there was something about him. The way he moved, unhurried. Like he had nowhere he had to be. He was shopping with his wife and 2 kids, laughing at something his daughter said, completely present. Not checking his phone, not stressed, just at peace. Jake watched him for a moment too long, and the man caught his eye and nodded with a smile. Jake nodded back and went back to stacking cans. But that image stuck with him all day. That man didn't look like money, but he felt like freedom. After his shift, Jake looked up the name on the man's rewards card. Yeah, store supervisors can do that. And Googled it. Marcus Webb. And what came up floored him. Marcus Webb was a local businessman, owned a few rental properties around the county, had a small logistics company, ran a storage unit facility. The guy wasn't a billionaire, but he had multiple streams of income And according to a local business journal profile from 3 years back, he'd started with almost nothing. Jake stared at his phone screen in his car for 20 minutes. If this guy figured it out, maybe I can too. He spent 2 weeks working up the courage. And then one Saturday morning, his one day off, he drove to Marcus's neighborhood, knocked on the door, and just asked, "Mr. Webb, my name's Jake Miller. I work at the Kroger on Route 40. I don't want anything from you except maybe an hour of your time. I want to know how you did it." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled, the same warm smile from the grocery store, and opened the door wider. "Come on in, son. You want some coffee?" They sat on Marcus's back porch. Nothing fancy. Jake had been so nervous he'd forgotten his wallet in the car. Didn't even realize until later. He laid it all out. The job, the loans, the savings account that barely moved. Marcus didn't interrupt. He just listened. And when Jake finished, he set down his coffee mug and looked at him steady. "You're not broke because you're dumb. Jake, you're broke because nobody ever taught you how money actually works. The school system failed you. Your job failed you. And honestly, the whole way most Americans think about money, it's backward." Jake leaned in. "Passive income," Marcus said. "That's the game. Not grinding harder. Not getting a second job that burns you out. Making your money work while you sleep." "But I barely have anything saved," Jake said. "Like a few $100. Marcus shook his head. "Doesn't matter where you start. It matters that you start. I'm gonna give you 7 steps. You write them down, you follow them in order. And I promise you, your life will look completely different in 5 years. Jake didn't have a pen. He used his phone's notes app. "Step 1, Marcus said. Save first. Before you pay anyone else. Before you buy anything. Before you Venmo your cousin back. Pay yourself first. Even if it's $50 a paycheck. You're trying to build a foundation. You can't build on debt. And whatever you do, don't take out loans to invest. Not yet. Not when you're just starting. That's how people lose everything." Jake thought about the personal loan he'd taken out last spring to pay for his mom's car repair. He felt a familiar pang of guilt. But Marcus wasn't judging him. He was just laying out the truth. "Step 2, Marcus continued. "Stop buying stuff that goes down in value the minute you get it. That new iPhone, the Jordan drops, the car payments on something you can't actually afford. I know it sounds harsh, but every dollar you spend trying to look wealthy is a dollar you could have used to become wealthy. The flashy stuff comes later, and when it does, it actually means something." Jake thought of Emma, of the concert tickets, of the flowers that had already died. He understood. "Step 3, Marcus said, standing up and gesturing for Jake to follow him into the neighborhood. "Find your opportunity. And here's the thing, it's already around you. You just can't see it yet." They walked for 20 minutes through Marcus's neighborhood. It looked like a regular suburb, but Marcus saw it completely differently. "See that house with the white van? Guy started a pressure washing business 3 years ago. Started with a $400 machine from Home Depot. Now, he's got 2 guys working for him on weekends." He pointed to another house. "Lady right there sells digital printables on Etsy. Makes $800 a month in her sleep. Literally. She designed 10 things and never touched it again." He pointed to a garage. "That dude flips sports cards on eBay. Figured out the market, buys in bulk, sells singles. Started with $200. Jake's eyes went wide. "I never thought about any of this stuff." He'd never thought about turning that into something. Back on the porch, Marcus kept going. "Step 4. Start small. Now." He said each word like its own sentence. "Do not wait until you have the perfect plan. Do not wait until you feel ready. You will never feel ready. The challenges only become real once you begin. And that's fine. Small first investment. Small risk. Big learning curve. Go." Step 5. Marcus's voice picked up energy. "Reinvest your profits. Every single dollar your side income makes. At first, plow it back in. Don't lifestyle inflate. Let the machine grow before you enjoy the fruits. Like Rudy across the street, He nodded toward a house down the block. Started a small lawn care route. Made $400 his first month. Bought another mower. Hired his nephew. Now he clears $3,000 a month and barely touches a mower himself. That's compounding, Jake. It works on income just like it works on interest. Step 6. Diversify. Marcus leaned forward. Once your first stream is working, build a second one. Then a third. Don't rely on one thing. The goal is never one stream, it's a river. And here's the part people forget. Once you're generating real passive income, you are allowed to enjoy some of it. Spend no more than half your profits. The rest, keep growing. Jake was furiously typing notes. And step 7, Marcus said, his voice settling into something quieter and more serious. Patience, consistency, and never stop learning. He paused. Most people quit. They start something, it doesn't work in 30 days, and they quit. Or they make a little money and they blow it on stuff and they're back at zero. The people who win are the ones who just keep going. Keep adapting. Stay humble enough to learn. Stay stubborn enough to keep showing up. He looked at Jake. You got all that? Jake looked up from his phone. He felt something shift in his chest, like a door had just swung open that he hadn't even known was there. Yeah, he said quietly. I think I do. Marcus's wife called them in for lunch. Nothing extravagant. Just sandwiches and chips and sweet tea. On a round kitchen. Table with a checkered tablecloth. His kids were watching cartoons in the other room. This was freedom, not private jets or penthouses. Just time, peace, control. Jake drove home that afternoon feeling like a different person. But here's where it gets real. Because the story doesn't end with a good conversation. Crying. The landlord was raising her rent. $400 a month more. She didn't know how she was going to cover it. Old Jake would have panicked. Old Jake would have taken out a loan, handed her the cash, gone back to zero, and kept grinding. But this Jake did something different. He sat his mom down and said, Mom, I got you, but I need you to trust me for 6 months. I'm not just going to patch this. I'm going to fix it. He started budgeting differently. Cut his own spending drastically. No more impulse buys. He canceled 2 subscriptions. He stopped picking up everyone else's tab at dinner. And with the $600 he managed to pull together over 2 months, half savings, half scraping, he made his first move. He started offering social media management to 3 small local businesses. A barbershop, a nail salon, a food truck he'd followed on Instagram for years. He charged $150 a month each. Month 1, $450, barely anything, but it was his, and it came in while he was at work. Within 6 months, he had 5 clients, $750 a month in passive-ish income, running on about 4 hours of work a week. He used those profits to start a second stream. He rented out his parking spot to a commuter near his apartment building for $80 a month. Then a third. He designed and listed 4 digital social media templates on Etsy. Nothing huge, nothing overnight, but the numbers were stacking. At the 1-year mark, Jake sat down and looked at his accounts for the first time without dread. Between his job and his side income, he was clearing $400 extra a month. He helped his mom with rent without taking a single loan. He bought Maya a laptop for school. Cash. He finally asked Emma out properly. Took her to a real dinner. Not because he was trying to impress her. Because he could. Emma said yes. Twice. Once to dinner. Once to something more. 3 years later, Jake had 10 social media clients. A small content agency running almost on its own. 2 rental parking spots and a passive Etsy income. He wasn't rich, but he was free. He drove back to Marcus's neighborhood on a Saturday morning. Not in a flashy car, in a clean, 3-year-old Honda CR-V he'd bought used with his own money. No payments. He knocked on the door. Marcus answered and immediately smiled. I wondered when you'd be back, he said. Jake handed him a small gift, just a nice candle and a card. The card said, You didn't change my life. You just showed me I was allowed to.